Hey, AE Touch users, Urban Geek here from sunny old England. Today I'm going to be taking you through step-by-step process to creating a nifty little effect. You can apply this effect to all kinds of different media, from moving images to logos to text, so all kinds of good stuff. To follow along with this tutorial, you're going to need Adobe After Effects. I'll be working in CS5, but you should be good with any previous versions. You'll also need a plugin called Trapcode Form. If you don't have this plugin, you can find it over at the Red Giant website, or if you just drop Trapcode Form into your favorite search engine, you should be able to find it no problems. Just want to give a quick thanks to Peter Norby for hooking me up with these Trapcode plugins, so cheers Peter. Okay, so we're going to jump straight in now. Let's go ahead and open Adobe After Effects. Right, so inside After Effects, just want to click inside the project window, create a new composition. Name this composition something like a tuts final. This will be our main comp. Set it to the resolution that we need. For this example, it will be 1080 by 720 at 25 frames per second for a duration of 20 seconds. Any background color, black will do. And hit OK. Okay, let's find our media now. So for this example, we're going to use the AE Tuts logo. Just drag it over into the project window. Okay, let's create a new composition. Let's name this composition AET Wipe 1. Same resolution. Hit OK. So AET Wipe 1 will automatically be selected. Okay, let's drag the AE Tuts logo into the composition we just created. It should just pop up in the middle of the screen. Now we want to apply a wipe effect to the AE Tuts logo. So go over to the Effects and Dialogues preset and type in Linear. Scroll down and you should see Linear Wipe. Just drag this over to the AE Tuts logo inside the composition. Let's just make some adjustments to the linear wipe and animate it. First off, let's change the wipe angle to 90. So we wipe the text off the screen rather than on the screen. Adjust the feather to around 30. Okay, let's make some keyframes for this animation. So we want the wipe to begin at around 4 seconds. So move the timeline to 4 seconds. Now inside the linear wipe, you can see transition completion. Hit the little clock icon on the left hand side. This will set your keyframe, so any changes from this property further down the timeline will automatically create a new keyframe. So let's just move the timeline to about 10 seconds and then adjust the slider on the transition completion to about 100%. Okay, so our keyframes are set. If you just push U, you'll be able to see where those keyframes have been placed. And then if we just scroll through here, we'll see the linear wiping process. It's looking good. Okay, so let's go back to the main composition, the AE Tuts final comp, and drop the comp that we were just working on into this composition. So wipe 1 into the final comp. Yep, all good. Okay, so now we're going to create another composition. So right click, new composition. This will be our controlling wipe, so we'll name it appropriately. Let's call it AE Tuts Control Wipe or Control W2, so we know it's Wipe 2. You can call these what you like, we just need to keep track of which comp's which. Okay, so with AET Control Wipe 2 selected, let's create a new solid. Right click, New Solid. The same resolution, we just need to change the color to white. So click the color box, select white, click OK, and OK again. Okay, so the composition is full of white. Let's head back over to the Effects and Presets dialog box, select the linear wipe and drag it onto that solid. Adjust the wipe angle this time to -90, and we'll change the feather to 100. Okay, let's go about animating this one as well. This time move the timeline to about 2 seconds. And let's adjust the transition completion to about 80%. Hit the clock icon again to set a keyframe. Okay, let's move the timeline to about 13 seconds. Yeah, 13's good. Right, let's adjust the transition completion, this time to 0%. Press U again to check our keyframes, and yeah, that looks good. Let's go back to our final comp, and let's drag the control wipe into the final comp. Okay, so let's start messing with form now. Let's create some strings. Right click inside the final comp, create a new solid. Let's name this solid form. Same resolution, and the color doesn't really matter, so let's just hit OK. Okay, now back over to our effects and presets dialog box and type in form. Okay, find trapcode form. Let's just drag that over onto the solid. Cool, so this grid of particles is what we're looking for. So we need to make some adjustments to the base form layer, so click the drop down inside the effects tool palette. Change the base form box grid settings to box string. We want a particle wherever we need a particle, so let's adjust the X and Y in the base form settings to 1280 by 720. 1280 on the X, 720 on the Y. You can leave the Z at 200. We need to increase the strings in the Y to 720 and change the Z strings in Z to 1. So now we should have a solid screen full of strings. Okay, so that's all for the base form settings. Let's minimize this now just to keep things tidy. And drop down the particle settings now, so the little arrow next to particle. Okay, the particle type is sphere, that's fine. Let's adjust the sphere feather to 1. We don't need any feathering, so 1 is good. And let's adjust the transfer mode to normal. Okay, that's good here. Let's minimize that again. And head down to layer maps. And drop down color and alpha. Okay, in the layer drop down, let's select the first wipe we created, AT wipe 1. We need the alpha channel, so select RGBA to RGBA in the functionality and map this over X and Y. We need to do a similar process now for the fractal strength. Adjust the layer to control wipe 2 this time. And again, let's map it over X and Y. And same for the disperse. Layer, drop down, control wipe 2, and map it over X and Y. Okay, that's good. Let's tidy up. Okay, let's head on down to disperse and twist now. And let's set the disperse settings to about 120. We don't need a twist, so leave that at 0. Drop down the fractal field. So we want our particles to move around a bit, so let's change the display settings to around 170. Let's change the flow to about -14, -15, and the same again for flow Y. So flow X and flow Y -14. And the flow evolution to about 60-ish, so here I'm going to put about 64. So let's see how we're looking then. If we just head on down to the AT wipe 1 and AT wipe 2 and hit the little eye symbol to hide these layers. Just need their functionality, we don't need to see them. Let's reduce the timeline slightly so we don't have to render the whole thing, and let's do a RAM preview. Yep, so that's what we want. Nice stringy jellyfish fluid type movement. So we're looking pretty good. Stop the RAM preview. Okay, let's just make one other adjustment to the visibility. So head over to the effects, inside form, drop down visibility, select the far start fade and change this property to 40600. Okay, so that looks like it's increased the strings a little bit. So yeah, we're looking good. See how this would look with a white background. So let's right click, create a new solid. Let's name this white background, color white, click OK. Drag this beneath everything else, just so we can get a feel for alternatives. Okay, I think I prefer the black, so let's hide the white. Okay, select the form layer that we've just created and go up to edit and select duplicate or Apple and D. This time we don't want the strings, so let's head into the base form settings again inside the effects of the form layer. Let's drop this down, change the box strings this time to box grid. Now we need to adjust the particles in the X, so we don't have strings this time, we have dots. So let's just head up to particles in X, change this property to the same as the resolution, so 1280. Okay, yeah, so we're looking good. Let's rename this just so that we don't get confused between the two form layers. Let's just call this dots for the sake of it. And let's drop this below the strings layer, just because that looks a little bit nicer. Okay, let's do another RAM preview quickly. Yeah, so that's kind of the thing we're looking for. Yeah, that's looking good. Now, because we're creating this image out of particles, sometimes you find these little problems, little glitches. You can see here like changes in color, or sometimes little glitches in the type or in the image. So a quick fix for this problem is to select the logo that we initially used to create the particles. So let's head back to our project and let's drop the AETUTS logo into the composition, and let's move this on top of all the other layers. Okay, so now you can see it's sitting on top, nested in front of everything else. Okay, let's keyframe a linear wipe on this so it wipes off at the same time as the effects. Head over to the effects and presets, type in linear again, and drag the linear wipe over to the AETUTS logo in the final comp. The wipe angle plus 90 is fine. We don't need any feathering, or you could apply a feather. Let's just hit the keyframe on the transition completion. It finishes at about 8 seconds, so let's ramp the completion up to 100%. Okay, so let's check our keyframes. We've got a keyframe at 2 seconds, starting from 0 and finishing at 8 seconds at 100%. Let's do a quick RAM preview. Okay, yeah, so that's looking good. The logo's wiping off at the same time as the effects. Oh, it's a bit slow. Okay, so let's have a look. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, that's looking good. It's nice and smooth. Okay, so let's render it out. Head up to composition and add to render queue. I'm just going to use H.264 for the sake of it. All the properties are fine, so just hit OK, name it, and hit render. Okay, so that should be rendered out. Just for the sake of it, let's create an alternative. So let's unhide the white background and let's just create a quick vignette just to pull the attention in. So right click, new solid. Doesn't matter about the name. Let's just change the solid to black. Same resolution and hit OK. Okay, so we've got a black solid. Let's just create an elliptical mask. Draw an ellipse. Okay, let's just move this up a little bit and across. Okay, in the masks now, just click the drop down and let's subtract this so that we've got it on the edges. Okay, let's change the feather, crank that up a bit. Okay, so about 260 is good. And let's drop down the opacity as well, just so that we get that a little bit of darkness around the edges. Yeah, that's looking good. Let's just render that one out as well. Same settings. Just rename this so we don't overwrite it. A-tuts W for white, 264 and render. Okay, so there we have it. Two versions of the same thing virtually, but it's good just to offer up a few alternatives. It only took us a couple of seconds to create that other version, so it's always good to offer up a few different alternatives. So there we go, that's how it's done. If you've enjoyed watching, I'm the Urban Geek, and hopefully I'll catch you again sometime soon.